Hi everyone, I'm Jackie and welcome to my channel, Just Memories Crochet. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet this adorable, sleepy-eyed baby security blanket. I used the chunky Bernat baby yarn. And I'm going to go ahead and put you on pause and set up everything. Okay, I'm back. So this is going to be part one. There will probably be about 3 parts. In this one, we're going to do the head and adding the blanket. I'm using a 4.25 millimeter hook for the head, and also for the arms and the ears I'll be using the same hook. For the blanket, I used a 8 millimeter hook, and I used the Bernat baby blanket yarn, and the color is Raspberry Kisses. So we'll go ahead and get started. First, we're going to do a magic circle. And for those that don't know how, I'll try to do it as easy as I can. I just go ahead and wrap my yarn around my fingers, make a circle. I bring this yarn, put it kind of like halfway down. Then I'll take my hook and grab that, pull it up, and I'll chain one. And there's your magic circle. Okay, so now we're going to, inside this magic circle, we're going to do 6 single crochets. And my last one. Now I'm going to take this tail and I'm going to pull it. And after several rows, I usually will take this and tie it onto a loop around here so it doesn't come apart. So now we're going to slip stitch into our first single crochet. And my single crochet is a little bit tight there. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to chain. Whoops. Somehow I got a hold of the tail. Okay. Now I'm going to do my slip stitch again. Okay. Now I'm going to chain 1. And you don't have to chain 1. You can just go ahead and use a stitch marker and do continuous rounds. I don't like to do that because I always lose my place. Then I have to rip everything out and start over. This way it's easy to tell your rows. Okay, so I just chained 1, and now we're going to go into every stitch and we're going to do 2 single crochets in every stitch. So at the end of the round you should have 12 single crochets, and I'll meet you, oops, at the end when I have all 12 of my single crochets. Okay, I'm back. I've got all 12 of my single crochets, and I think I forgot to tell you the weight of the yarn I've used. This is a 4 weight yarn. Okay, so now I'm going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet. And this, now we're going to start row 3. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go right back in that same stitch. I'm going to do a single crochet. And in the next stitch, I'm going to do 2 single crochets. So you're just going to continue that same pattern. 1 single crochet, and then in the next one, 2 single crochets. So go ahead and continue that, and at the end of the round, you should have a total of 18 single crochets. Okay, I've got all 18 of my single crochets. I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet. Now I'm going to chain 1, and we're going to do, this is row 4. I'm going to single crochet in the first 2 stitches, and in the third stitch we're going to do 2 single crochets. So one single crochet, one single crochet in the next stitch, and 2 single crochets in the third stitch. And go ahead and continue that same pattern all the way around, and at the end of the round you should have 24 single crochets. Okay, I've got all 24 of my single crochets. Now I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet. So now we're ready to start row 5. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to do a single crochet right there in that first stitch, and in the next one, and in the next one. So we did one single crochet in the first 3 stitches, and in the fourth we're going to do 2 single crochets. So go ahead and continue that same pattern. You're going to do 4 single crochets in the first 4 stitches and 2 single crochets in the, I'm sorry, 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches, and in the 4th stitch 2 single crochets. I lost count, I think, there. So you're going to, then we're going to start over 1, 2, 3. In the first 3 stitches you're going to do 1 single crochet, and in that 4th one you're going to do 2 single crochets. So at the end of the row you will have 30 single crochets. Okay, I've got all 30 of my single crochets. So I'm going to slip stitch into this very first one here. I'm going to do my chain 1, and I'm going to go ahead and do a single crochet in the first 4 stitches, 2, and my 4th one, and in that 5th stitch we're going to do 2 single crochets. So go ahead and continue the same pattern. You're going to have 4 single crochets in the first 4 stitches, and in the 5th stitch you're going to do 2, and at the end of the row you will have 36 single crochets. Okay, I've got all 36 of my single crochets. I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet. That is the end of row 6. Now we're going to do row 7 through 13. We're just going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch. So I'm going to chain 1 and do a single crochet, the first stitch, second stitch, third stitch, all the way around. You're going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch, and at the end of the row you should have 36 single crochets all the way around, and you're going to do this for row 7 through 13. So I'll meet you at the end of row 13. Okay, I'm at the end of row 13. You should have 36 single crochets from rows 7 to 13. I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet right there. I'm going to chain 1. Now in the first 4 stitches we're going to do 1 single crochet. That's 2, 3, and 4. Now in the 5th one we're going to do 2 single crochets together. And how you do that is, here's your next 2 stitches. I'm going to go up under, here's your 2 like loops here. We're just going to go under the front loop, just like that. Yarn over, pull up a loop. You've got 2 loops on your hook. We're going to go to that next stitch and just go under that front loop. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Now you have 3 chains on your hook. You're going to yarn over and go through all those. So we've got 4 single crochets and a 2 single crochet together. So go ahead and do that, and at the end of the row you should have 30 single crochets. Okay, I've got all 30 of my single crochets. I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet, and now we're going to start row 15. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to do a single crochet in the first 3 stitches, and I'm going to do another single crochet together in the next 2. I'm going to go under the front back loop only, yarn over, pull up a loop, go in the next stitch, only go under that front loop only, yarn over, pull up a stitch, yarn over, and go through all 3 of them. And why I do only go through the front loop instead of going through both of them is because you don't get any gaps. If you go through both loops, it seems to gap a little bit more. So that's why I do that. So go ahead and continue and do a single crochet in the first 3 and 2 single crochet together in the next 2 stitches. And I'll meet you at the end of the row, and you should have a total of 24 single crochets. Okay, I've got all 24 of my single crochets. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch in that first single crochet. And now we're ready to start row 16. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to do a single crochet in the first 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Now I'm going to do my 2 tog together, my 2 single crochets together. I'm going to go in that front loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, go in the next stitch, only in the front loop, yarn over, pull up a stitch. I have 3 on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, go through all 3 of those. So go ahead and continue that same pattern. You're going to do 2 single crochets and a 2 single crochet together. And at the end of the row, you should have 18 single crochets. Okay, I've got all 18 of my single crochets, but before I slip stitch into that first single crochet, I'm going to go ahead and take my hook out, and I'm going to stuff my head. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back after I'm finished stuffing my head. Okay, I'm done stuffing my head. Make sure you don't get it too stuffed. I don't think I have enough in, so I'm going to finish this next row, so I'll be able to tell more. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into that first single crochet. And now this is row 17. I'm going to do a chain 1. Try not to get that stuffing in your stitches. And now for row 17, we're going to do 1 single crochet and 2 single crochet together in the next stitch. Go only through that front loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, go to the next stitch, only go in that front loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. I go through all 3 of those. And that's all you do for this row, just 1 single crochet and then a 2 single crochet together. And at the end of the row, you should have 12 single crochets. Okay, I've got all 12 of my single crochets, and I did add a little bit more stuffing. So now I'm going to slip stitch to this first single crochet here. If it's getting hard for you to find the first single crochet, you can use the stitch markers at the last few rows. I'm going to slip stitch. Making sure I didn't overstuff, because then you get some holes. I'm going to take just a little bit out. Not too much. Okay. Okay, so now we're in row 18. I'm going to do my chain 1. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the single crochet 2 together in every stitch around. And at the end of the round, you should have 12 single crochets. And this first one is kind of hard to get in that front loop. There we go. So go ahead and continue the same pattern, just 1, 2 single crochet together all the way around, and at the end of the round you should have 12 single crochets. Okay, I'm at the end of row 18, and I'm so sorry, I told you you should have 12 single crochets at the end of this row. in row 17 we had, at the end we had 12 single crochets. So this row that you just did, we did a 2 single crochet together, so that cuts it in half. So you should only have 6 single crochets in this last row, which is 18. I'm so sorry about that. And now we're going to slip stitch to the beginning, that first single crochet there. It's like that. I'm going to chain 1, pull my yarn, and cut you off a long tail, because we're going to weave in these ends here and close up the head. I'm going to pull this through, just like that. I'm going to get my tapestry needle, and I'm going to go ahead and weave in each, I'll go ahead and pull it through, each stitch around, just like that. Go in and out. Till you get all the way around. And now I'm going to just tie it off. Okay, I've just got finished weaving in my tail, and I hope that you caught my edit. I'm going to put it in the title to read my edit in the description box. I told you this last row, here row 18, to only pick up the front loop, and that was a mistake. You're supposed to, in this last row, pick up only the back loop. And I guess I said the front loop because I was used to doing the 2 single crochets together here, going through only the front loop. So I'm sorry about that, and I hope that you saw my edit so that you didn't waste your time. So only go through those back loops of the last row, row 18. So I weaved in, and again I apologize, I weaved in all my ends. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull that. And I'm going to go ahead and make another knot. And I hated to do this whole video over again. There's so much work that goes into these videos. Okay. And how I noticed I had messed up is I didn't see these loops right here that stick out. There's going to be 12 of them, and that's where we're going to add our blanket to. And you should have 12 of these. And that is from going through the back loop, not the front. Okay, so I'm going to put you on pause, and I'm going to go ahead and get my yarn that I'm going to do my blanket with. Okay, first before we start the blanket, to get this out of your way, just go ahead and just push it through the head. And go in and out as many times as you want. Kind of pull your yarn a little bit there and cut it off, and it will go right in there. Okay, so if I get cut off doing this blanket, I'll finish it up in part 2 because I can see my time is running out. Okay, so you're going to have 12 of these loops. The first one is going to be, you're going to have to pull it out because it kind of wants to hide. So I'm going to go through that very first one. And since I'm going in with the number 6, or number 8, I'm sorry, it's going to be a little bit hard. Oops. Well, hold on a second. Okay. Oops. Get all this out of your way here. I loosened that up pretty much. I just put in my smaller hook and pulled it up because that is the smallest one. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach your yarn, whatever kind of yarn you want. You don't even have to use this Bernat Chunky baby yarn if you don't want to. I'm going to attach my yarn. Just like that. Oops. We're going to just work in those raised ones that I told you about. Okay, now I'm going to pull up a loop. Just like that. Now I'm going to do a chain one there. Now I'm going to go back in there. And this is the hardest row you're going to do. And if it's too difficult to use I'm using an 8 because that's what the yarn called for. You can go ahead and use a smaller hook for this row. I'm going to go ahead and use this one. Okay, and the first 2 of those loops, you're going to do a single crochet. I did my first one, and here's my second one. There's my second single crochet. And in that third one, I'm going to do 2 single crochets. And in the next 2, I'm going to do a single crochet in each one of those. And in the third one, I'm going to do 2 single crochets. This is a little bit hard to get it through there, but you can do it. So go ahead and do that. Do 2 single crochets in the first 2, and in the third one, do 2, and I'll meet you here at the end. And at the end, you should have 16 single crochets. Okay, I've got all 16 of my single crochets. Now I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet I did. Just like that. Now we're going to start our first corner. You're going to chain 3. And that acts as your first double crochet. We're going to do 2 more double crochets. And this is going to get tight. And chain 2. And in that same stitch, 3 more double crochets. After this row, it gets easier. So I've got 2, I need 1 more. Okay, so now we're going to skip the next stitch, and be careful, they want to hide because this is your thick yarn. So there's 1 stitch. In that second stitch, I'm going to do 3 double crochets. And you're going to follow this same pattern all the way around. Okay, I've got my 3 single crochets, so I'm going to skip 1 stitch, and in the next stitch I'm going to do my next corner, skip another stitch, and in the next stitch do my 3 double crochets, and do that until you get here at the end, and you should have all 4 of your corners. Okay, I'm at the end of my row. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3. Then I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch across till I can get into that corner. Okay, I just slip stitched into the corner, and now to start row 2, chain 3, and just do 3 double crochets, or 2 more double crochets, and counting that chain 3, that's 3 double crochets. Chain 2 and do 3 more double crochets in the same space. And just go ahead and continue like you did in row 1 until you get your blanket as big as you want. And now, of course, I'm going to skip these 3 and go in between these 2 sets of 3 and do 3 double crochets there. And then I'll skip here and I'll do 3 more double crochets, and then I'm ready for my next corner. And just go ahead and do that. I did, I think, let's see, I did 8 rows, and it ended up being from the head to the corner 12 inches. And go ahead and do as many rows as you want, and I'll go ahead and do about 10, and I'll meet up with you when I get 10 rows, and I'll show you how to do the border. So I'll see you in part 2.